Dark clouds hovered over the horizon, and a strong gale snapped their banners.
Damn it! A storm's coming! Gabor! Take us to the nearest settlement. We must seek shelter.
Soon the Lyrians arrived in Stuhlkamp. The town square proved full of folk. Several dozen dwarves, laden with large sacks and satchels, stood about in smaller groups. When a thick snow began to fall, the dwarves cheered. Tears streamed down the cheeks of several, but Meve could not tell if they issued from some fortuitous occurrence, or if the strong wind had wrung moisture from their eyes.
What is it we witness? Why do they rejoice at a snowstorm?
Asked Meve, pulling her hood over her head.
Well, the Blizzard's good cause to postpone their expedition by another day.
Gabor responded.
See, they've been conscripted by drawn lots to be settlers. Found homes in a village in Blackbrook Vale. 7 expeditions have gone that way already, and none survived longer than a year. Valley's cursed. No two ways about it.
Intrigued, Meve proceeded to speak with the settlers' leader. He confirmed Gabor's claim. He had buried many a previous colonist. All had been abnormally thin, pale, prematurely greyed, as if some wraith had drawn the lifeblood out of them. Once the dwarf had finished his tale, he gripped the Queen's hand firmly, and promising a generous reward, begged that she and her Lyrians accompany the expedition to Blackbrook Valley.
Tain't far. Mere few leagues north along the main road. We'll make the march much easier to ken with the whole army, in case of any danger.
I know not how useful our swords can be against curses and spectres,
said Meve.
but leave you bereft and in need I will not. We shall march with you into Blackbrook Vale and see to it that you are safely arrived. Then we will march on.
The dwarf sped off to announce the good tidings to his settler brethren. By the time the blizzard had abated, they were ready to march.
That over here. There's a couple horses. Giants.
Be bold. Take on challenges, risks even. But before you set out to do anything, buy yourself some proper insurance.
Stay clear of Borrow's Rump. Unless you like shale Mars, that is. The Elder gets a wee stranger every year. Scary to think where he'll be 100 from now. I'd cut my beard, but I haven't yet received written permission.
That's a real fire heartbeat.
We got a job to do.
We'll catch 'em all!
When will you ever learn?
I smell a leak.
Tell me you jest.
Shh, cork it.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
A knight should help. Our codex commands it.
The chase is on!
For you, pal! Anything.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away. Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Impossible. I can't believe it. Gascon, he drank a dwarf under the table.
I've said it before, I think, dear Reynard. You simply underestimate him.
The following is proclaimed by formal decree of the Elder.
Meve had stopped and was removing packed ice from her mare's fetlocks when Gabor Zigrin approached. The dwarf squatted at the Queen's side, glanced about quickly, then started speaking in a barely audible whisper.
Your Majesty, I overheard some folk talking in the smithy. Birdies claim there's treasure, true riches, in the hills near Blackbrook Vale, south of here. Stowed away there. And nobody dares go looking for it on account of beasts that have made their lairs there. But you've got a wee army behind you. I reckon you could try. Might be worth the risk, eh?
The Queen brushed the snow from her knees and, raising a hand against the glaring sunlight, peered towards the mountains. Though tempted, she had doubts. To start, the rocky scree at their feet warned clearly of avalanches.
I shall think on it.
She answered, before vaulting into her saddle.
Blackbrook Vale holds many secrets.
What is this place?
Blackbrook Vale.
Quite lovely.
Aye, and damned dangerous. Keep your arms at the ready.
have a rest narrative.
Catch! I smell a leak.
Tell me you jest.
You mad? Don't say that!
So much anger and suffering. For what?
We'll catch 'em all! Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
God's blast it! My breastplate chafes.
For you, pal! Anything!
Hey?
This is still part of
Blackbrook Vale. The name itself embodied infamy. Neve arrived expecting misty ravines, decrepit trees bound in spiders' webs and swarms of bats. What she saw was a warmly gurgling stream and the valley's gentle slopes blanketed in crocus blooms. Only a village of abandoned, ruined huts and a cemetery stretching to the horizon behind it attested to the valley's grim past.
The village seems shrouded in a guise. Be not deceived,
said the Queen.
Reynard, some men to search the environs for any sign of life.
The blood-curdling roar that came from the ruins a moment later proved the Queen's caution warranted beyond any doubt.
Protect the settlers!
Never fear!
Yeah, yeah! Catch!
Ah!
Thing about slings, they hide well. Hey? Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Following the victory, the settlers' hopes seemed renewed. Could the beasts they felled have killed the previous lot of colonists? Perhaps the curse that had long hung over Blackbrook Vale was at last broken.
We thank ye, your majesty.
The settlers' leader said, slipping the satchel from his shoulder.
You've granted us new hope. And a new home.
The dwarves rolled up their sleeves at once and set about repairing the cottages. Sounds of hammering, sawing and chopping filled the valley, accompanied by a steady stream of dwarven song. Neve left Blackbrook Vale, her spirits soaring. How great was her subsequent shock when the elders summoned dwarves for another expedition to the valley. It seemed the settlers Meve had escorted had met the same fate as the colonists who had preceded them. Yet what had killed either group would never be known. The rumors Gabor had overheard were true. Scouts returned with news of a cavern at whose mouth lay rotted logs, an indication that something of great weight may have been rolled inside. Chests full of gold, for instance. Then again, paw tracks clearly showed some beasts had made the cave their home.
Right. Decision time. Enter or scramble back down,
said Gascon, rubbing his hands together for warmth.
Please hurry. This frost is downright biting.
We've scaled this high. Foolish we'd be to descend empty-handed. Fall in behind me!
The Queen took the fore, sword in one hand, torch in the other. The flickering flame's glow illuminated the cave's interior, casting long shadows. Meve was certain some horror would leap at her at any moment. And she was not at all wrong.
Follow me! Together now!
This could hurt. Watch your heads!
Greetings. What is it?
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth? chase is on!
Treasure trove ought to be close now. Come on.
As soon as the last beast had fallen, the Lyrians took to seeking out the treasure. Soldiers dispersed throughout the caverns in a rush, penetrating every last corner. Finally, one called out.
Got it! Got the treasure right here! Treasure! Shiny stuff!
A number of steel-reinforced chests lay up against the cavern wall. Meve blew the dust from the lid of one and lifted it with some difficulty. She had hoped for gold and jewels, bars of Mahakaman steel at the least. Instead, she saw thousands of time-tarnished copper coins with a hole through their center.
What's this bloody crap? Tokens of some sort?
Aye, that's right. Holy Guldens, we call them. They're, currency in Mahakam. Get our wages in them. Use them to cop victuals and hooch.
What of arms, armor, tools?
Nah, all that's given to us. Clan provides it. Is that what you need? Weapons? Oh, feel the Egypt now. Brought you here for no reason.
Yet these tokens, they can be exchanged for other coin, can they not? Temerian orans or Novigrad crowns?
Aye, doable in theory, but not at all clever. Rates are crap. See, the elders keep 'em low to make life difficult for dwarven folk. Discourage 'em from leaving Mahakam.
What's this? Common dwarves use no gold. You cannot be serious.
Yet I am. What good's gold to them? Clan gives them all they need, and victuals and hooch beyond need they get for tokens.
Yet you trade with humans. Gold coin you take for your goods, the coin must serve a purpose. What is it?
We hoard it all. In vaults. Great piles. Down bottom lie ducats dating from the reign of that dozy ham-shanker King Dagrid.
And you do not put it to use? Acquire anything for it? Then it's true what folks say, that you love gold too much to part with it. Hoard it for pleasure, as dragons do.
Point of fact. That there's pure drivel. Gold's a metal like any other, just yellow. We hoard it for our safety.
Your safety? I fear again, I simply don't follow.
Couldn't it be simpler? Soon as human folk get it in their heads we's a thorn in their side, we'll spend it. All of it, in a jiffy. Excess coin supply, that's called. Matter of days, gold'll be worth less than sawdust. And you're tossing banks and economies, bam, on their arses. There'll be nothing left of them. They'll cave in faster than a mine shaft with rotten props. Why are you all ogling me? With human folk for neighbours, we dwarves got to be damn vigilant, as sheep round wolves.
So how can these tokens serve me?
We must trade them. Even should we get a pittance, it will be something. The soldiers demand their pay.
Ah, your bums out the windy. Fighting men want full dixies and tankards of hooch. Coins but a means to that end.
What do you suggest then?
As I've been saying, the tokens we use to purchase nourishment and mead, and what you've got in those chests, why, that'll do to fund a feast the likes of which Mahakam's not seen since Bruver was sworn in as Elder-in-Chief. The fighting men'll eat and drink their fill, carouse about and forget their due and pay right quick. And invite the local dwarves to feast with you, and the clans will look kinder on you too.
Caution be damned.
Your Grace, I feel obliged to remind you we are at war with Nilfgaard, and...
Should go to building our army, I know. But we live but once, Reynard. Sir Gabor, take the tokens, and arrange me a feast so grand that Ebdahi himself shall hear us revel.
As Meave's force could not possibly fit in a tavern, the feast was laid out in a storehouse. Crates arranged in rows served as tables and benches, while the windows were festooned with lion's foot and pasque flower. Great barrels of mead, cognac, and vodka were rolled in, and when the soldiers saw this, they broke out in cheers and laughter that lasted till dawn.
Pour us another round, you lovable Lyrian bastards!
For he's a jolly good a jolly good dwarf.
Yes, Gabber Zigrid plus. Perfect.
There was food and drink enough for the dwarves of the pass, who, with Meave's men, raised tankards in hand and voices in song the night through. To see them sharing tales and playing cards, one would not believe that anywhere down the mountains, through woods and across plains, humans and dwarves might, for the softest slight, leap at each other, murder in their eyes.
This was awesome. This was the best ending for that quest. But there's a village here, right? Or is it abandoned? Because we're still in Black Vale, right?
Well, that's yet more
Riding past a mine, Meave noticed a group of miners gathered around the entrance to a shaft. Frost had settled on their moustaches and beards, suggesting they had been there for some time. The Queen summoned Gabor and asked him to determine the reason for this sit-in. He returned after a few minutes and announced the most curious thing.
They're waiting for the knocking to stop.
Meave's frown prompted Gabor to explain in greater detail.
According to our laws, dwarves can't go into a mine if there's knocking coming from inside. We're obliged to wait for the ruckus to quieten down.
Ah, yes. Our own miners share this superstition.
Reynard interjected.
They say the knocking is that of a treasure unknown, a kind of mine ghost.
With all due respect, your miners are dimwits,
Gabor said, patting Reynard on the shoulder.
Knocking means an imminent and abrupt discharge of the potential pliable energy of rock formations. In other words, you ken, a rock burst. Except usually it's all done in a day or two, whereas these lads have been waiting going on 2 weeks. Foreman's grown impatient. He'd like to send someone down the shaft, have them see what's at issue, but, well, the code forbids us from doing anything of the sort.
If in this manner I can gain favour among your brethren,
sighed the Queen, dismounting.
So be it. I shall descend and see what the problem is.
The shaft was too narrow to fit an entire army, so Meave and a small unit of men entered the mine, miners' lamps in hand, and hearts in their mouths. The rhythmic knocking coming from the bowels of the mountains, distorted and multiplied, was unnerving. Soon the company arrived at the place that seemed the source of the knocking. Gabor put his ear to the rock and listened for several moments in silence, then struck the wall with all his might. The wall crumbled with a crash, opening a passage into another corridor, from which sprang numerous foes.
Wait, what?
hear something. What was that?
Watch your heads!
Who goes there? Drop your weapons!
Nay, you drop yours! Yeah, yeah!
We got a job to do.
Who just grabbed me?
Oh, apologies, Maeve. I thought you were Reynard.
Greetings. What is it?
I ended up talking in this battle.
Hey?
Catch!
Reynard! Are we winning? I can't see a bloody thing!
We'll catch 'em all! Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
What do you want of me?
Stop! Stop! We surrender!
Both sides were surprised. Both fought in the weak light of torches, nearly down on hands and knees. In the end, the Queen emerged victorious, and as soon as she had returned her sword to its sheath, she asked the new prisoners a question that was on everyone's mind.
Who the devils are you?
The captives looked at each other in disbelief, as if before them stood a ghost. Finally, one of them managed to choke out a response.
Your Highness, we're your subjects.
Meve recognized the accent at once. The men came from Rivia. But what were they doing so far from home? According to the prisoner's account, after the Nilfgaardians' invasion of their kingdom, terrible poverty gripped the land. Seeking bread, some desperate inhabitants had gone to the mountains of Mahakam, engaging in wildcat mining in search of precious ores. Without asking the dwarves what they thought of this,
You know yourself, my queen.
explained one captured Riv.
They guard their treasure real jealous-like, don't care a whit about the suffering of others. They see us starving down in valley and don't lift a stubby finger.
Sadly, the Rivians had dug close to existing corridors. When Gabor destroyed the wall that stood between them and the dwarves, they were convinced they were being attacked by monsters, so they raised arms in self-defense.
Maeve, 'tis a tough nut to ken,
said Gabor.
but let's nae kid ourselves. These men are thieves, and we must hand them over to the Mahakaman Guard.
So they may do what? Sentence them to hard labor, or hang them at once?
Said Reynard. his usual calm shaken and his voice raised.
These are your subjects, Queen. They coveted their neighbor's goods, true, but only because they had nought themselves.
The foreman wished for the knocking to stop,
said the Queen.
and so it shall. As for you, go back to Rivia, and tell all their queen shall soon return, leading an army.
The grateful Rivs quickly packed up their tools and left the mountains. Meve had no doubt Bruverhoog would soon learn of the affair and would certainly not approve of her decision. Yet she preferred to face the Elder's wrath than send her subjects to a dwarven prison, or possibly to their death.
Well, boys, a wee swig and we get back to work. Well, boys. Well, boys, a wee swig and we get back.
The sound of approaching hoofbeats made Meve turn to see Reynard spurring on his panting horse, galloping at a breakneck speed towards her.
Ill tidings I bring, your grace.
Clearly. Glad tidings never arrive with such urgency.
Our scouts captured a Nilfgaardian messenger. He was traveling in disguise, and by night. When he realized his capture was imminent, he strove to destroy the letters he carried. We were able to salvage some, in parts.
Anything of interest?
Yes, there is, I fear. Your Majesty, you must listen. Consider your offer accepted. Direct Meve and her force to the agreed site. We await their arrival. Your reward shall be as agreed. Hail Keritsa.
A traitor. We might have expected as much. Nilfgaard has shown amply that it abides only by the rules it sets. Since they have not proved able to defeat me in the field, in open battle, they seek other means. I suppose the scroll bears no name.
It does not, your grace.
The messenger. Have you questioned him?
Naturally, your grace. Alas, he knows not to whom the letter is directed. He was to leave it in an agreed spot.
I take it tidings of the whole affair have spread throughout the force.
Yes, your Majesty. The witnesses were too many to keep this fact a secret.
We must thus assume the traitor in our ranks knows it as well, and will make no attempt to retrieve the scroll. A dead end. Have we any other leads or clues?
None, I fear, your Majesty. We must be alert. Keep a keen eye on events as they unfold, and exercise great caution in forging new acquaintances.
Very well. Eyes wide open, all senses attuned. Yours in particular, Reynard.
Of course, my liege.
We got a traitor on. There's a traitor among us. 8. It's just raid, right? Let's just go get these statues like half a high.
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads.
That thing didn't really give me much. I need more wood. This is better than the Fortitude one. Let's see what this is going to do now.
Neve's force neared Davor's abyss. Signs of beastly feasting were not hard to find. Countless paw and claw tracks were impressed in the blood-stained snow. Among the boulders, bones picked clean were strewn about. Gascon lifted one from the ground.
Empty inside,
he said.
Something sucked out the marrow.
Neve's soldiers feigned indifference to the grisly sight. They marched on, their stepped rhythm unwavering, a song on their lips. Yet hearing a slight tremolo in their voices, Neve knew they merely sought to drown out their fear. A moment later, a commander's horn sounded, the signal to halt. The Queen galloped to the fore of the column and found herself at the edge of a vast, round hole in the ground. She could not see the bottom. Meve drew her reins tight to prevent her mount from taking even one step forward.
What is this? A crater? A desiccated lake?
A mine of the strip variety.
Gabor explained.
Treasures we picked and shoveled for here. Diamonds. Till we happened on the beasts, that is.
What now?
Orion's a dam. Holds back a lake. If we can break it, water'll rush in, fill the abyss and the tunnels from which the beasts emerge. Just need to get around the mine first. Way down's on the other side.
Meve squinted and gazed into the distance. Indeed, there was the dam. And at its foot, a swarm of beasts roiled about. Her soldiers gazed at their queen expectantly, their arms at the ready. She knew well they would rush into battle, in spite of their fear.
Gabor!
Meve cried out over the whirling wind.
Have you bards here in Mahakam?
Course, your grace!
Then we shall give them good reason to compose this day, on the themes of courage, of heroism, of Lyria! Gee up!
And with that cry, the queen spurred her mount, grabbed a banner, and raising it high over her head, rushed headlong at the horrid swarm.
Here's the way down! We need to break through and destroy the dam!
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Cork it.
Make love, not war.
And indeed, bards sang of this battle soon after. For no claws or fangs could break through the wall of shields the Lyrians raised that day. And no scales could protect the beasts from the Lyrians' stinging arrows and blades.
Fight! Do not relent! Let us show these beasts! It is they who should fear us!
The queen shouted. In the end, the beasts turned to flee, yet Meve's force cut off any chance of escape. A solid wall of men began to push the monsters ever closer to the edge of Davol's abyss. Pressed from all sides, the horrors began slipping over the precipice, screeching terribly as they fell. Silence came at last. The queen stood at the edge of the precipice, breathing heavily, leaning on her sword. From the depths of the mine came muted growls and groans.
Let's flood the dam hole!
hissed Gabor.
Before any other shite crawls out of it.
A rush of icy water suddenly rose, then just as abruptly plunged into the mine, flooding the pit. And where once lay Davor's abyss, now lay Davor's pond. Meve descended back into the pass, exhausted and covered in beastly blood, yet also exceedingly pleased. She was one step closer to dwarven support in the war against Nilfgaard. Once the Lyrians had put some distance between themselves and the now destroyed monster lair, Meve ordered her men to pitch camp. Then she sent the quartermaster off for food and drink. The soldiers lit campfires, then set aside their weapons. Soon after, lively music and song could be heard throughout the camp.
Your Majesty,
Reynard said from behind Meve's back.
A messenger from the Elder-in-Chief.
The Queen turned to see a dwarf in a richly adorned jerkin and a shako with golden seams. She stifled her laugh into a smile and lifted her chin proudly, expecting praise and a pledge of aid in the war against Nilfgaard.
My lady, your daring deeds have come to the Elder's attention,
said the dwarf in a measured voice.
He's positively irate and demands an explanation.
Irate? But why? I and my men, we've aided you greatly.
Elder Hug awaits at the Long Bridge. You'd be wise not to keep him there any length of time.
And with that, all the Queen's enthusiasm for a celebration was instantly gone. She waited until the fires expired and the songs died down, then gave the order to march.